I play a character called Vonny Stockman, who is a local politician, that she's a provost, so she's the head of the council, basically, in a small town in Scotland she wants to push on its way up. And it's a very, very important day in her life because she's launching the town as a city of regeneration, so she's trying to move the town up, but she's also launching a big resort and water park resort that's going to bring lots and lots of things to the town. And so it's a very big day for her. And she's a politician and she's very good at her job. She's very good. She's on the way up in her mind.
And I play Ali Aslickson, who is a social media influencer. And he's from the town, this fictional town in Scotland, and he has everyone's ear. Everyone listens to him. He's previously a pop star, and we were discussing this. He was a pop star. I think he had a #1 hit. Maybe tried to get a second hit, didn't quite work out. But people know who he is, and he's always on Twitter or Instagram. On this day, he's getting the whole town involved for this bid for City of Regeneration. And so he is part of the media drive, really. So everyone, particularly Vonny, comes to him to get the word out. And he's quite fundamental to the play and the world that we're in, I think. Yeah.
There was workshops done on the show, and then we start rehearsals properly. And in the workshops, they looked at the original play, The Enemy of the People by Henrik Ibsen. And so we read the play, the original play, and you could see who you were and how the writer has updated it, sort of a thing. And so that was the first thing. And then you were just looking at the kind of how you play your part, and so how you play a politician. So you're looking at the rhythms of politicians, of how they speak. So for me, I would be looking at Nicola Sturgeon, all female politicians and male, and looking at elements of how they deliver their when they're on. So you're looking at private Vonny and public Vonny. So there's two sides of it that you get to see in the play. So the public one is with you. We have a scene together where he's the presenter and I get my message across, because politicians always have buzzwords and phrases and they'll make sure they get to say it as hook or by crook. And the rhythms of their speech, it means they punch certain phrases harder. So she does things in the play like, it's like repeated, failed, promises, and that's how they do it. But when it's private Vonny, she doesn't speak like that. Even in terms of sort of our costume, when she's on professionally, the coat is on. The coat is big. It's to give power. A sort of, structured dress, high heels, everything is, because the vanity and the ego of the politician. So you've got all that decision to be made in the rehearsal room. And then private Vonny, you'll notice in the play, she kicks her shoes off. And it's like, I can't believe this is happening to me, and can talk to her sister normally, as it were. So you're looking at just the whole facets of the whole character and how many ways you can show that. And voice is very important in that as well.
Yeah. I think for myself in rehearsals, very much what Gabe said, I'm playing a presenter. So I had a reference of Dermot O'Leary. That was my reference. And after about 2 or 3 weeks, it was a bit of a yay moment, because the director, Finn, came up to me and went, "You're a bit like Dermot O'Leary." And I was like, get in. But that's what it was, because it's all like you're saying, as a presenter, it's a sort of facade you are putting on. And it's getting those rhythms right, those techniques right? What words are you hitting and why? And what we find with Ali is that he's jotted throughout the play. Kieran Hurley's text is actually quite unforgiving. It's very direct.
Yeah.
There's not much ambiguity going on, and it's quite dense. We were talking about this, weren't we?
There's really long sentences in this play.
Yeah.
So some sentences are so long. It's political polemic, but you're trying to invest it with the personal at the same time.
And
so
it's
quite tough.
It's informative, and you cannot miss out that information.
Yes.
You miss out that information, the audience are going to miss something.
Yeah.
And particularly for Vonny and myself as Ali, we have to make sure the information we're getting out has a rhythm, it lands, And certainly from a rehearsal point of view, our addiction lands. And I think as Dermot O'Leary as a reference, with Ali jotted throughout, I had to really work with, okay, what's Ali's stakes in each situation? What is he bringing? What information is he bringing to the audience? And we can clearly mark out his journey. And I think certainly at rehearsal process, when you first get the play, you read it, you're kind of playing around with it, and then you're slowly tweaking it throughout the 3 or 4 weeks to then bring it onto a performative level. But for me, it is finding out what's at stake at each point. Because at each point, I get bits of information. At one point, it's right, one point, it's wrong. What does that do in Ali's journey? And what does that represent for this town? You know, all the way up to the end, which is, you know, he stands up against you because
he does. He's one of the most moral. By the end.
Yeah,
the only moral apart from Kirsten.
We think he's immoral actually because he's going along with it only because he doesn't have the information, and it is trial by Twitter. And I think that's a great analogy for what we have nowadays, especially with Ali. He doesn't really interact with anybody at all.
Yeah.
It's very two-dimensional, but we're like that nowadays, aren't we? We're all on our phones, we're all on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or whatever it is.
He's always in his booth.
Exactly.
You know?
Which I think is a great representation of where we are as a society now, particularly with your character. Where are we with politics, you know, in society? We could go on forever about that, but that's an idea of the rehearsal process and where my thinking was.
Yeah.
And how that can change constantly. I think it's quite key to get all the way to the end. I think all the characters were like that, particularly ours.
Yeah, they're all quite on a mission. We were directed to be fast and hard. So once you're on the train, you're on the train. So the director was like, speed, and with that speed comes, you must have your diction, clarity, and that, but speed and punch. It's much more punch, isn't it?
Yeah.
To communicate the story across, because it's a very stressful day, one day in the life.
That's what I was going to say. It's one day. All this happens in less than 24 hours. It starts at 8 a.m. We've got the scene, and it finishes probably around about 8 or 9. So actually, it's not even one day. It's what, 12 hours, 12 to 14 hours. Yeah. All this drama takes place.
And as he said, if you're not feeling stressed by the end of the show, something's wrong. Scene 6 is a scene between Vonny and her sister, Kirsten, when I have been told via email that there's a problem with the water. So Vonny is coming on with a lot of baggage of what's happening and distress about what's going to happen today. So she hasn't made a decision. So the progression of scene 6 is her making the decision to go, do you know what? We're not going to say anything and we're going to go ahead. It's not certain that's what she thinks at the beginning of the scene. But as the scene progresses and her sister says a couple of things that make her think, you know, she talks about crowdfunding. And the realities as a politician are like, you're so naive. And so she begins to think, oh my God, she's an idiot. Right, I've got to do this. And she's in panic mode as well. So she decides to go ahead and poison the town because she thinks it will be better for the long-term good. It's a brilliant scene to play because it's a two-hander, hammer and tongs, and it's lengthy, so you can really progress through the scene, but it should have a journey. So if I came in the beginning of the scene knowing exactly that I'm going to not do it, it's not going to be as interesting dramatically. So the director was like, let's have it that, because in the writing it could be done that way. He said, let's have it that she's not sure yet what she's going to do, and we'll find out in the scene, and then she says, yes, no, I'm going to make this decision. So that's a major key moment. Once she's made that decision, there's a spiral down, and she basically throws away family in favour of political career. She sees it as good, the common good. For her, it's to save the town. She's got, and I think for Vonny in that scene, you see that she really does mean it. She really does care about the town. She really does think, I can do this and I can make a difference. But that's in her head. But hopefully what the audience see is that it's Vonny thinking about herself.
You know what I like about that scene, certainly from Vonny's point of view, is for me we first see a chink in your armour and we see a chink in your ego, because the switch towards the end of that scene where Kirsten puts the water down, that just twists it, and you can see, for me, you can see Vonny going, game on. But it's an ego thing. You're going, right, you know what? Even if the water is gone, I'm going to prove you wrong.
Yes,
And that
yes.
shows the personality of Vonny. And I think
Absolutely.
that's exciting to
Absolutely.
see.
And the whole through line for Vonny and the whole play is she's the older sister.
Yeah.
She's used to being the older sister, having to look after her sometimes, but that having that familial relationship overriding everything really, really helps. So it's like, no, you don't push me around because I'm the big sister. It is as simple as that sometimes. And that's learned behaviour as well. It's like, you're the wee one,
Yeah.
I'm the big one, and that's the way the relationships in the family are. So, yeah, when she puts the glass down, it's like, right, okay. She's sad as well, though, because she's like, I know I can beat you, and I will beat you. In terms of
Yeah.
of social media, I know how to do these things. I know how to do dirty tricks. I know how to put horrible messages out. So and already Vonny, when the glass happens, she's seeing all that she's going to really, really, really make things horrible for her sister. And it saddens her, but she does it because she feels it's for the greater good of the town.
I think from Ali's point of view, I think there's 2 or 3 key moments that bring us into the world of this town. The first one is when you and I are having our first interview.
Yeah.
And there's something that's always stuck with me. And I wonder if that's because I come from a dual heritage background, being Scottish. My family's from Pakistan. And the idea of this town, because I say to you, but you're like me.
Uh-huh.
We both grew up here. Now, why that sticks out for me is because normally what happens is the other way around. You see, forgive me, white Scottish people saying to me, you're like me. But it's flipped round now.
You get the power. Yeah.
We get the power. And well, it's not so much power, but it's almost an acceptance. We've got this sort of, this wee Scottish town, which I can't imagine there's much diversity in the town, apart from Ali, saying to somebody of Vonny's stature, you're like me. And that's key. And I think that shows that what the world that we're living in now, this whole idea of the BLM movement, it's not so much reclaiming power away from yourselves, but actually going, I know my own power. That's quite a key moment for me, but it's a very subtle moment. The second moment is when you give me the paper. And I've got to make a statement. The statement where I'm going, Kirsten stood down.
Yeah, she's not well.
And then
mentally.
it's all very presentery, and then I put the paper down. And that's the first time we see something in Ali going, what the F is going on here.
Yeah.
So we've gone from presenter to normal, going, I'm not understanding what's going on here. But I'm also thinking about, how is this going to pan out? Because I'm the one in charge of the audience. I know that they're going to turn on me.
How many likes am I going to get here?
Yeah, exactly. But it's the first time we see Ali coming out of presenter mode. I think that's quite key to see. We're seeing a duality in his personality. And the final moment is at the Big Splash launch, where I tell everyone to shut the F up. And then we actually see the turn. Ali has a moral backbone. He's not going to let the town suffer. He's going to try his best. So he gives Kirsten the mic in order to shut you up, really. I think there's 3 very key moments for Ali on his journey throughout this play for me.